Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. Every Taiko player has an informal list of skills that they want to get better at or they think are important to improve. For me, one of those skills that's really high up on the list is something I've talked about in several videos, but I've never done a video just on that skill. And that skill is dynamics. Dynamics, simply put, is the volume or quality of any given note. One note is loud, one note is quiet, one note is less quiet, one note is less loud, etc. Western music has really good notation for this. You have more quiet, quiet, less loud, loud, more loud, and of course you have notes that go further on either end. Taiko, however, in general has two dynamics, loud, soft. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have more loud or more quiet, and of course you have notes that are in the middle between loud and quiet. But in general, if you watch a Taiko performance, you will see loud, soft, or loud and quiet. So why are dynamics so important to me? Let's say you're reading a short story, maybe 3 or 4 pages. You take out all the punctuation, all the question marks, all the exclamation points, all the commas, and you replace everything with a period, just periods. You no longer have nuance. You understand the story, but it's not easy. It's not enjoyable. You have to spend a lot of mental energy figuring out, wait, was that a question? Is this person upset? What's their mood? And by the time you get to the end, it's not as enjoyable, but you did get through it. To me, that's what it's like when the dynamics are close together and they're kind of muddy. You might still enjoy the performance, but probably not as much because everything starts to sound the same. You have to spend a lot of mental energy if you want to figure out, oh, was that dorotsuku or was that supposed to be da-da-da-da? I don't want to do that as an audience member. I want to sit back and enjoy nuance and context and flavor that come with dynamics. And here's how that would look and sound in practical terms, in Taiko. First, a round with bad dynamics, then a round with good dynamics. The first example was like the short story with no punctuation. Everything is in the middle range. Not a lot of nuance, not a lot of flavor. You kind of understand what's going on, but not that enjoyable, just some noise. The second set, very discernible, distinguishable dynamics. You know what was quiet, you know what was loud, and you have the complete picture. Much more enjoyable. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I've talked about and worked on dynamics in previous videos, specifically when it comes to rudiments like dorotsuku or triplets, where you have loud notes and quiet notes, and it's really important to keep those distinguished. But I wanted to avoid any particular rudiment for this week's drill. I wanted to focus solely on dynamics. So if you don't have a lot of experience, you're not used to some of the rudiments, that's fine. We're not going to touch any. And if you do have experience, the skill we are working on is extremely valuable. It's something I think a lot of Taiko players could do a lot more with. And I almost forgot, why not hit that like button while you're here? Why not hit the subscribe button while you're here? Makes sense to me. Back to the video. All right, let's get into this week's drill. You're going to play 8 quiet notes at a pretty slow tempo. That's it. All you have to do is keep track of where the 1 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. What I want you to do here is look, listen, and feel for any discrepancies. I want you to make sure that all 8 of those quiet notes are exactly the same height, volume, and feel across the board. So take the time to look, listen, and feel, even by closing your eyes if you want. and figure out if they're all the same or if they're not. And if they're not, do your due diligence to fix it, using the same tools you just did to find it. Looking, listening, and feeling. I really want you to resist the temptation to just breeze through this section. Yeah, that's fine. It's easy to take a quick glance or a quick listen and think, yeah, they're fine. I want you to practice a very particular skill, and that skill is discernment. Practicing, looking, listening, and feeling. That's the skill we're going to be working on in this week's drill. Now, once you're sure that all 8 notes are consistent, you're going to add an accent on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You want that 1 to be pretty sizable, which is why we're going slow, to make it easier. You want it nice and loud, but not so loud that you're messing your technique up, not so loud that you're losing a tempo. Just very clean and loud comparable to the quiet note that you're playing. And then bring that discerning skill back. The 1 is not your worry. Any taiko player can play loud. I want you to focus on the other 7 notes. I want you to look, listen, and feel for notes 7, 8, 2, and 3 specifically, because those notes are the ones that are going to be the most affected. Notes 4, 5, and 6, not so much. But in general, in preparing or responding to an accent is where the discrepancies will happen. Now, if you are noticing a discrepancy and you're having trouble fixing it, go slower. Go as slow as you need to in order to fix it, then come back up slowly to your original tempo. Once you're here and you find that there's no discrepancies, everything is even, great, we're ready to move on. You're going to do one of 2 different things in whichever order you want. The first is to switch the accent to the left hand. So instead of the 1 being on the right, the 1 is on the left. Overall, pretty simple to do, but you might find that simply switching the accent to the other hand causes discrepancies that weren't there when you played with the right. The second thing I want you to do is to speed up. You're not aiming to go as fast as possible. You're aiming to take it incrementally, little bit at a time. Because remember, the goal is to identify and fix discrepancies, not to see how fast you can go. The example I just did was done way faster than I want you to do, just to give you an idea of what it would be like. So you pick a tempo and you stay there for a while. Then you increment up just a little bit and you stay there for a while. Then just a little bit and you stay there for a while. There's no need to go really high, really fast, really quickly, because you're going to eventually hit a point where you can't discern or fix. So what's the point of getting there early? And then whichever version you do first, you can then eventually combine. So you're doing right hand, then you do left hand, then you speed up with the right, then you speed up with the left. Get used to all the combinations. Now, once you get to a point where it's just too fast to really discern what's going on, and you're really trying, that's okay. If you've done your due diligence and gotten to that point slowly, we're then ready to move on to the next part. The second and final version of this drill is putting 2 notes in. The 1 like you did, and then either on the 4 or the 6. You're playing 1 right hand and 1 left hand. You don't want to play 1-2 and you don't want to play 8-1 because there's no gap between those 2 notes. And you want to discern the quiet notes. Without a gap, you're losing the point. So 1 and 4 or 1 and 6. 1 and 4 sounds like this. 1, 2, 4, 1. 6 sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pick whichever one you like. You can choose now and you can change later. At this point, the drill is fundamentally the same. You do have 2 accents, so now you want to make sure the accents are the same on either hand as well. But still, focus mostly on the quiet notes because those are the ones that are going to need the most adjusting. Now at this point, you don't have to do left-handed because you have one right and one left, regardless of which hand starts and which version you choose. However, eventually you start to speed this up incrementally, slowly, but incrementally over time, and then you eventually reach a point where you just can't discern. But I admit this can be really boring after a while, even when you're playing fast. My brain kind of wanders and it's like, yeah, I get it. So to make this drill a little more interesting, I occasionally will drop in one extra note every 4 or so repetitions. So maybe I drop 2 rights and a left, or 1 right and 2 lefts, and the note can change. It makes it more musical, which keeps me more engaged. But the point is still focusing on consistency, making sure the quiet notes are okay, not on just having a fun drill. I'm not doing an improv drill. I'm doing a very specific drill focused on dynamics. And there you have a very simple dynamics drill. Remember though, it's not about speed, it's not about how loud the loud notes are, how quiet the quiet notes are. It's about discerning where the dynamics are and when you have discrepancies. Because if you don't know what's off, how do you know what to fix? Again, for me, dynamics is one of the highest priorities for my taiko playing, because when they are clear, it feels so good, it sounds so good, and then I have some wiggle room to start playing with the dynamics. Start adding some more flavor, not just clean loud and clean soft, but clean middle, or clean almost loud, or almost soft. It's a lot of fun. It opens up so many opportunities. But you have to know what you're playing, and you have to have command of what you want to play. And I would love to hear your thoughts on dynamics as a skill. How important are dynamics for you as a taiko player, or even for you as an audience member? When you're listening to other people play taiko, is it really important? Is it very important, or not so much? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.